Hello and welcome back to the channel here. We've got another collection video. We are getting through my collection slowly. Make sure you hit subscribe if you're enjoying these collection video updates. We've done a few now. I think we've done the 3DS, we've done the N64. I don't know what time we're going to release this, but we've done the Wii, we've done the Wii U as well. We've got a few more to do. Today we're doing the original Nintendo DS, which I'm very fond of. I've got just under 50 games, 45 games, something like that. We're going to jump straight into it, so we're not wasting your time. Hit subscribe again if you are interested in these videos, and leave me some comments on your favorite DS games and what you think of my very quick synopsis review, 30-second overhaul of some of these games. Some we'll just skip over. This one we will talk about very slightly. Occasionally I'll put some gameplay over on this side of the screen, but primarily it will just be the box art. Aliens Infestation here, an absolute classic, a bit of a hidden gem, some people would call it. In fact, I probably will put gameplay of this one because I want to kind of replay it. It's a very interesting, fairly short 2D side scroller, a bit Metroidy, a bit survival horror though, because you only have a handful of Marines to work your way through the enemy's base, or through your own base, and wipe out the enemy that are invading you. It's very reminiscent of the films. Once your character is dead, they are dead. I think you can get a couple of extra lives, but once they're dead, they're gone. You have to use a new person. Really good game. I can't do it justice in a few seconds. Go and check it out. Another game here that I probably won't do justice in a short amount of time, and that's because it is a classic. Mario Kart DS. This was, and still is actually, my favorite Mario Kart of all time. The snaking, where you'd weave back and forth to get a speed boost. A lot of people didn't like it. I actually thought it added a lot of skill to the game. It was the first DS game, or the first Mario Kart game rather, where I got a lot online. I know the early days of Nintendo Online were not great, but I persevered with this version. Don't know why it says sold, not to be sold separately. What a great game. Now, some of these games are going to be filler content. At one stage, a long time ago, I was trying to get a huge DS library, and I just thought, get a load of cheaper games in at the time. Tenchu Dark Secret here. Funny that a lot of these DS games went with the DS in their title, so Dark Secret obviously standing for DS, or DS standing for Dark Secret there. I can't remember a huge amount about this. I think it had like some strategy elements to how you sort of overview the map and then where you need to go, and then it plonks you into it, and then you actually can carry out your mission. I wasn't a big fan of it. I never hear anybody talking about it. Zelda here, our first absolute all-time classic. I know we've already had Mario Kart, but this is undoubtedly the best 2D. Well, it's not undoubtedly, okay? It's the best, maybe it's the best 2.5D, because, well, actually Link to the World's now out, or Link to the Past is now out, and so we can't say that anymore. But what I'm trying to say is I love this game. It is one of my favorite Zelda games. It's one of my favorite games all time. People didn't like that you had to use the stylus. Didn't bother me at all. And I liked doing the maps, I liked doing the puzzles, I liked controlling Link with the stylus. Such a great game. Here is another one that is a bit of a filler, and in fact I'm not entirely sure if I ever played this one. Overlord's Minions. I assume it's some kind of strategy action game based on the Overlord 1 and 2, I think came out on the PS3 and 360. I can't tell you a lot about this one. It's probably okay, to be fair. And here is our first remake of the collection, Diddy Kong DS, Diddy Kong Racing DS. Again, another classic. I absolutely love this. I can remember actually it being harder than the N64 version. I can't remember why. It's years and years ago since I played this. I did complete it, but I remember looking online to find out a certain course or a certain boss was just way too hard, and there was something they put into it. I don't know if it was down to the controls. There isn't too much issues with the touchpad controls, but I think when you do a boost, say for example you're in a hovercraft, you can blow into the microphone and it gives you a boost before you start the race. I can't remember if you did that in the race as well. But anyway, an absolute awesome game. Unfortunately, there was not a huge online component. And again, another hidden... I mean, the DS is a bloody good library, even if I do say so about my own collection myself. Hotel Dusk, Room 215. I was absolutely gripped to this game. Very unique setting. You have to flip the DS round to the side. I don't know if you can do this on an emulator, to be honest with you. Flip the DS round to its side so it reads like a book, as you can see here. And then you have a graphic novel unfolding in front of you, some light puzzles. You walk around the hotel trying to find clues and figure out the big mystery. And I was gripped to this, absolutely enjoyed it, played it non-stop, and I can't remember a huge amount about the story, so I might actually play that again. Here's, again, some people will say filler. I actually have a special place for this game. Pass your driving test theory. I did not do any study or revision for my theory test outside of playing this game, and I passed first time. I think I only passed by like 1 mark, but I passed first time. I can't even remember the year it was. I think this was actually out of date when I took it, but it did the job for me and I passed. So there you go. Another underrated game, and this one I'm surprised why it's underrated, because Adventure Time, Hey Ice King, Why'd You Steal My Garbage, should be more popular given the nature of the license. Obviously, Adventure Time is a very popular franchise. This game here is very awesome. It is a Zelda 2D clone, so big adventure. I think it's a bit more like Zelda 2 from the NES, which is maybe why it didn't catch on as well, but it's actually a much better game. I think this is the European French, is that on there? It looks French to me. Anyway, really good game. 2D is quite short is the problem. I will say that. I do remember, I think I beat it in under 4 hours, 3.5 hours. Go and get this one. Play it if you are looking for a quick game to play and you're into Adventure Time. Here is a early title, I believe, for the system, Metroid Prime Pinball. It comes with the Rumble Pack. I don't remember that, and unfortunately I don't have a Rumble Pack. I guess that went down in the GBA port, but I maybe never had that. I can't remember anything about this game. I probably just picked it up because it's Metroid and it's Nintendo. It probably is pretty good. I do like that you've got the 2 screens going long ways, so it probably works quite well for a pinball game. And again, another classic. For a long time, Tetris DS was the best way to play Tetris. It had an awesome kind of Nintendo Classics mode, or challenge mode, where it was all themed around Nintendo characters, and it changed. So you had Duck Hunt, you had Donkey Kong, Zelda, obviously Mario, and it just really had sort of fresh breath of life into the series, into the game. I would say it stayed the best version until that more modern version came out with all the space and the really immersive sound and visuals. But again, still a really good version of Tetris to play. Here is a very rare game now, especially in the UK. As you can see, I picked it up for £4 way back in the day, Dementium, The Ward. There are a few horror games on the Nintendo DS, and this is one of them. It kind of works quite well. So it's a first-person shooter in essence, but it's very dark, it's very creepy. Think Silent Hill in terms of the atmosphere and the vibe. You've got a lot of monsters in there. After the first couple of levels, it gets a bit easy because you get a lot of ammo. The monsters, although take a lot of killing, a lot of hit points, you never really have that sense of scariness anymore. Now here's a game my daughter played a lot back in the day. I think there are 3 Dora and Friends, Fantastic Flight. I won't say much about it. I think there are 3 saves that you can use on this, and I think she completed all 3 saves thinking that it was like a new game plus when she was like 3 or 4 years old. Quite funny. This one, unfortunately, I can't say much about it. Go Go Cosmo Cops. I think this is actually probably a pretty good game. I believe it's like a rhythm-based puzzle game or like mini game. Got the light on the screen. I just never got into it. I think, look at that, you hold it sideways as well. So it'd be interesting to see how that works on emulation, as I am a big emulation fan. Battles, Prince of Persia. I can't tell you a huge amount about this, but I do believe this is also a strategy game. Yeah, it looks like it is. You set up your almost like Advance Wars, where you have a grid-based combat or Fire Emblem is the other word I was looking for. Looks a bit like that, but it definitely is not very good. This game, very hard, very difficult. Got it very cheap, apparently. Trauma Center Under the Knife. So I believe this is like a sequel to the original Trauma Center game. Or perhaps this is the first one. I know there was one on the Wii as well, which, again, is very difficult. Not a very interesting box. Essentially, it is a game of nerves. You have to do things with the stylus on a human body, stop the bleeding, patch people up, save lives. It's quite good, actually. It's very stressful, very, very hard. Quick license game then, Toy Story 3. Not much I'm going to say about this. I believe it's like a 3D platformer, very, very easy. I don't play it much on the DS. I did complete it on the Wii, though, so I guess that says something about me. Space Invaders Extreme, again, a bit of a filler piece. I do think it's actually quite a good game, though, like visually appealing if you want that core Space Invaders gameplay. So I think we are halfway through, and we've got, again, some actual real good games coming up. This is probably not one of them, though. New International Track and Field. I was a huge fan of Track and Field on the PlayStation. This is basically the same, but with cartoony graphics, and it doesn't really work very well on a DS, given that it's a button basher. Don't know why it's bouncing around in there, but there you go. It's quite a cool insert, though. And now the second Zelda game, Spirit Tracks. A lot of people actually think that this is better than Phantom Hourglass. I don't know why. I don't think it's anywhere near as good. The train is not as cool to run around on as the boat. But it is a good game, and it is still fun. Some good puzzles in there, some good combat. I quite enjoyed it. Just prefer the other one. Again, more classics. The new Super Mario Brothers 2D platformer, obviously. This is actually the rebirth of Mario 2D style. I think since Mario Brothers World, we didn't have a 2D Mario, can you believe it? From the SNES all the way through to this version in 2006. And it is actually one of my favourite Marios, even if it is now a little bit basic with some of the new ones that have come out. Speaking of Mario, we have another remake here, Mario 64 DS. A lot of people actually enjoy this one. I don't know, it's kind of cool that there's a N64 game on the DS. That's about as much as interest in it as I have. Some of the new mini games were pretty cool. If you're a big fan of Mario 64, you probably enjoyed it. You could also play as Yoshi. His game I'm not going to say much about, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare. It is actually not that bad. You would think this would be awful, but I quite like first-person shooters on the DS, where you use the stylus for an aim, and then you run around with the D-pad. I think it works quite well. In fact, I'm missing a game in my collection, but I will try and remember that at the end. Here, I will put these games back to back here. So we got Metroid Prime Hunters and Metroid Prime Hunters First Hunt. So First Hunt, if I am correct, is essentially a demo, and it's like the first mission or the first couple of levels of Prime Hunters, which is a fully fledged game. It is again a first-person shooter. Now, the problem with this one was the atmosphere was a bit dark, and the graphics were not great. However, for the time, it was I think it was a release or near the DS's release. Can't even speak. Near the DS's initial release, I think it was a fairly early game. And for that, it's pretty awesome. There was some like platforming, jumping elements that I didn't think worked very well. Here's a super rare game. In fact, it was never released in the UK or in the PAL regions. Dragon Quest Heroes Rocket Slime. This is a huge kind of RPG, kind of adventure game. Very, very popular and very, very cool. If you like Dragon Quest and you like the little slime dude, you basically are on a big adventure with him, and yeah, it's a very, very good game. Next one here, Exit DS. This is actually on a lot of different systems, just not with the DS logo or the DS name. Very cool game. It's a puzzle game, under pressure, and it's 2D side-scrolling, so it's quite interesting. You basically have to make it to the exit, as it says there. I'd recommend this one. I think it's fairly cheap and not that well known, but it's good fun. Okay, I kind of mentioned this earlier. Advanced Wars Days of Ruin. This is probably peak Advanced Wars after the GBA kicked the series off. I love this game. It's strategy, it's army, it's cartoon, it's awesome. Now, second Dragon Quest game. This one a fully fledged one, Dragon Quest IX, Sentinels of the Starry Skies. This is, again, a fully fledged RPG, a proper Dragon Quest game. I believe it's recently, in the last couple of years, been remade into a big proper release, and I'm sure I've seen it on Steam, looking glorious in full HD. But this is very popular back in the day, and I think it probably still is now. It's a really good game, especially if you're into those JRPGs. This one is not a JRPG. It is Sonic Sega All-Stars Racing. Don't think this is actually that good. I really enjoy the game on the consoles of the same name and the sequels. Didn't quite work that well on the DS. I don't think the performance was that great. That is not super smooth. There's some choppiness to it, but it's, you know, worth having. Another game which is definitely worth having. In fact, this is one of, after Sonic 2 and 3 and Knuckles and 3, this is probably then my favourite Sonic platforming 2D game. Sonic Rush Adventure is a little bit easy, but I really enjoyed the adventure style. You do have to play some of the levels multiple times to get some resources to build your travel in ships and your crafts. But outside of that, I thought it was awesome. The way it scrolls across the two screens is seamless, and it's smooth, and it's fast, and you have boss fights in 3D arenas that work really well and mix things up. It didn't get the best reviews ever. It is a sequel to Sonic Rush, which, again, I'm pretty sure I have Sonic Rush, but it's not here in my collection, so I'm going to have to go do some digging. Try and maybe find a few more games. Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars, a brilliant game. It is 2D top-down like the original two Grand Theft Autos, but this one has a lot of style. It's way better than those two. Cool story. The missions all work really well. You probably have played this, whether it's on the Vita or I believe you can get it on Android as well, probably iPhones. Really good game, as is this. I'm not sure why this didn't catch on in Western worlds. Custom Robo Arena. I believe this is actually like a sequel, so I think it came out on the GameCube first. Correct me if I'm wrong, and this is a second, or it might even be a remake of that. I don't know. Basically, it is Pokemon for robots. So you play as a school kid, you're in school, and you go off and collect different parts to build your own custom robot, and then you battle with them in real-time 3D worlds. I cannot tell you how cool this game is. Never completed it because the story mode is super long, and I didn't really care for the story, but the combat is absolutely fantastic, and I like the customization as well. Here's another all-time classic, Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. It's that DS again, and it's your typical 2D Castlevania game. You have your upgrades, you have your big world to go and discover, and amazing enemies to beat. You get some superpowers. It's just a really good game. Again, very, very highly regarded, and one of the best Castlevanias. Two games left here in this part of the collection. Prince of Persia: The Fallen King. I don't remember a huge amount about this. It looks like it's a 2D side-scrolling action game, and that is probably all I can say about it. One of those fillers. But don't worry, we aren't ending this part of the video, or the whole video, on a bad note. Star Fox Command, hugely underrated. I could not get enough of this one for a long time, not even just as the game was out. It is Star Fox as you kind of remember it on the SNES, however, or you know, with much better graphics than the SNES, maybe more like the N64. However, you also have this custom ability to fly across the world map. If I remember drawing out parts of flights on the map. I'm going to have another go of it because I can't remember it too fondly. You know, I can't do justice of it because I can't remember it that well, but I do remember really enjoying it. The combat all worked really well, and there was some kind of map plotting thing that was awesome. So that is all the games I have right here and now. I am missing two games though. At the very least, I definitely had the original Sonic Rush. I know I had that because although I played the sequel first, I loved the sequel so much I went back to get Sonic Rush and it wasn't as good in my opinion, but most people say it's the other way around. And then the other game I had, I believe it was Brothers in Arms. Let me just Google Brothers in Arms. Yeah, it was Brothers in Arms on the DS. I'll put some gameplay up of it now. It was super awesome. So it's not a first-person shooter. It was third-person like Brothers in Arms usually is. And I remember it being really good. It's quite easy, but the cool thing about it was I bought my brother No pun intended. I bought my actual brother a whole DS system back in the day with a copy of this game because you could play an awesome death match, and I really enjoy playing that with him. It was actually a really good game, and I can't find that one. So those are two games that have disappeared from my collection somehow. It's strange because I don't think my daughter would have pinched those two games either. So I'm not sure where they are. In a box somewhere, I guess. I'm going to have to go and do some digging. I can't remember having any other DS games that are missing, so that is my whole collection. Hopefully you have enjoyed this video, and again, hit that subscribe. We will be making another collection video very soon.